Good evening, dear students. I am Ms. Vandana Pai. In today's lecture of the subject Management of Industrial Relations, which is related to Diploma in Human Resource Management, we will be studying the objectives of industrial relations. Prior to actually starting the objectives of industrial relations, let's revise what we have studied into last lecture. Okay. Industrial relations may be defined as the relations and interactions in the industry, particularly between the labor and management, as a result of their composite attitudes and approaches in regard to the management of the affairs of the industry for the betterment of not only the management and the workers but also of the industry and the economy as a whole. The term industrial relations it does explains the relationship between employees and management which stem directly or indirectly from union employer relationship. Industrial relation is the relation in the industry created by the diverse and complex attitudes and approaches of both management and workers in connection with the management of the industry. The term industrial relations it does comprises of industry and relations. Industry means any productive activity in which an individual is engaged. It includes primary activities like agriculture, etc., and secondary activities like manufacturing, construction, trade, transport, commerce, etc. Economically speaking, industry means the secondary sector where factors of production, that is, land, labor, capital, and enterprise, or 4 M's of management, that is, men, material, money, and machines, are gainfully employed for the purpose of production and where a business organization it does exist. Okay, relations means the relations that exist in the industry, that is, within the industry between the employer and his workforce. Different authors they have different defined the term industrial relations in somewhat different way. Okay, according to Bethel and authors, industrial relations is that part of management which is concerned with the manpower of enterprise, whether machine operator, skilled worker, or the manager. Manpower of the enterprise can thus be classified as management and workers or employers and employees, and industrial relations can thus be treated as a relations between the employer and the workman. According to V. Agnihotri, the term industrial relations explains the relationship between employees and management which stem directly or indirectly from union employer relationship. According to V.B. Singh, industrial relations are an integral aspect of social relations arising out of employer employee interaction in modern industries, which are regulated by the state in varying degrees, in conjunction with organized social forces and influenced by prevailing institutions. This involves a study of the state, the legal system, workers and employers organization on the institutional level and that of patterns of industrial organization including management, capital structure, compensation of labor force and the forces of market on the economic level. Thus, it covers all types of relations arising out of employer employee interaction in the industry which are influenced by the power of the state and the other social and economic institutions. According to Ordway, Ted, and Metcalfe, industrial relation is the composite result of the attitudes and approaches of employers and employees towards each other with regard to planning, supervision, direction, and coordination of the activities of an organization with a minimum of human efforts and frictions with an animating spirit of cooperation and with proper regard for the genuine well being of all members of that organization. According to T. N. Kapoor, the term industrial relations should be understood in the sense of labor management relations as it percolates into a wider set of relationship touching extensively all aspects of labor such as union policies, personnel policies and practices including wages, welfare and social security, service conditions, supervision and communication, collective bargaining, etc., attitude of parties, and governmental actions on labor matters. Now, when we consider all these definitions which are related to industrial relations, what is important? See, what is industrial relations? Industrial relations, it does includes a relationship between the employer and the management, the employer and the employee. Okay, so how this relation should be? Yes, the relation should always go smooth. Means there should be soundness into your organization. Why? Because if there is unhealthy environment into the organization, surely what will happen? Surely it will affect badly the organization's goals which you have set. Okay, so further, okay, industrial relations are the relations which are the outcome of the employee relations in an industrial enterprise. It is thus employer employee relationship in an industry. Okay, there are two parties which are main into your organization, that is employer and workman. Okay, they are necessary without which such relationship cannot exist, and it is the industry which provides the setting for industrial relations. Industrial relation is the relation in the industry created by the diverse and complex attitudes and approaches of both management and workers in connection with the management of the industry. Attitude refers to the mental state of a person. Approach can be the external expression of such an attitude. Attitudes are always not obvious, and the individual himself may not always be fully conscious of the attitudes. Attitudes must be inferred from tone of verbal expression or perhaps from the individual overt behavior. Attitude is the mental state of the individual which prepares him to take a particular approach or make him behave in a particular manner. Attitudes of both employer and employees, it does influence each other and determine natural relationship. This relationship emphasis on the process of accommodation whereby both the parties develop skills and methods of adjusting to the cooperating with each other. Industrial relation is not a simple relationship between the two parties, but it is a set of functional interdependence involving a number of factors, say historical, economic, social, psychological, demographic, technological, occupational, legal, and other etc. It therefore requires an interdisciplinary approach for its study. In this context, industrial relations are the relations and interactions between management and workers, and as a result of their composite attitudes and approaches. Every industrial relation creates a complex of rules and regulations to govern the workplace, the work community, with the main purpose of maintaining harmonious relations between the management and workmen by solving their problems through the process of collective bargaining. So, in industrial relations, what is happening? See, industrial relations may thus be defined as the relations and interactions in the industry, okay, particularly between the labor and management as a result of their composite attitudes and approaches in regard to the management of the affairs of the industry for the betterment of not only the management and the workers but also of the industry and the economy as a whole. Okay, the industrial relations are relation between whom? Yes, the employee and employer in their day to day work. Hence, it is a continuous relationship. So, a relationship among employees, that is between employees and the superiors or managers, collective relations between trade union and management. It is called union management relations. Collective relations among trade union, employers association and government. Okay, industrial relations has to attain the maximum individual development, desirable working relationship between management and employees, and effective molding of human resources. They have also asserted that either industrial relations or personal administration is primarily concerned with all functions relating man effectively to his environment. Thus, the scope of industrial relations seems to be very wide. It includes the establishment and maintenance of good personnel relations in the industry, ensuring manpower development, establishing a closer contact between persons connected with the industry and that between the management and the workers, creating a sense of belongingness in the minds of management, creating a mutual affection, responsibility and regard for each other, stimulating production as well as industrial and economic development, establishing a good industrial climate and peace, ultimately maximizing social welfare. Industrial relations has twofold objectives of good industrial relations are to preserve industrial peace and to secure industrial cooperation. If we have to establish industrial peace, the workers must be assured of fair wages, good conditions of work, reasonable working hours, holidays, and minimum amenities of life. Industry can be defined as venture of cooperation under the direction of the management to secure the effective coordination of men, material, and machinery and money. The objectives of good industrial relations should be development and progress of industry through democratic methods, stability, total well-being and happiness of the workers, and industrial peace. Industrial peace is the fruit of good industrial relations. It is harmonious atmosphere where there is no inequalities, no strikes, and no industrial disputes. Regional prejudices, clashes have no place where good industrial relations it does prevail. The primary objective of industrial relation is to bring about good and healthy relations between two partners in the industry, the management and the laborers. So, good labor management relations in an industry it depends upon the employers and trade unions being able to resolve their problems mutually, freely, independently, and responsibly. The trade unions and the employers and their organizations must be desirous of resolving their problems mutually through the process of collective bargaining. However, the assistance of appropriate government agencies may be sought in resolving the problem whenever necessary in the public interest. Collective bargaining, therefore, is the cornerstone of good relations and appropriate legislative measures must be adopted to aid the maximum use of this process of accommodation. The workers and the employers organization should be desirous of associating with government agencies keeping in view the social, public, economic, and general measures affecting the relations between the two parties. The committee, therefore, emphasized the need for the management to acquire the fuller understanding of human factor in production and must use the appropriate methods of employee selection, promotion, and training, wage administration, work rules and labor discipline, layoff and dismissal procedures, etc., and other policies and procedures and practices to improve the labor and personnel relations. So, the industrial relations is chiefly concerned with the management and the workers' relations or the employer employees' relations, but its scope is not limited only to this aspect. It also includes labor relations, that is, relations between workers themselves or between various groups of workers and Public or community relations, that is, relations between the community or society and the industry. See, there are so many group of workers in an industries like workmen, supervisory staff, management and employer, and harmonious relationship between various groups that affects the social, economic, and political life of the whole community. Thus, industrial life creates a series of social relationships which regulate the relations and working together of not only workmen and management but also of community and industry. Good relations, that is, good industrial relation, not only indicate the cordial atmosphere in the industry but also facilitate higher and quality production and industrial growth. Thus, industrial relations include four types of relations: labor relations, that is, a relation between union management, also known as labor management relations, then group relations, that is, a relation between various groups of workmen, that is, workmen, supervisor, technical persons, etc. Employer employee relation, that is, a relation between management and employees. It denotes all management employers relations except the union management relations. Then the community or public relations, that is, a relation between the industry and the society. The last two are generally not regarded the subject matter of study under industrial relations, but they form part of the larger discipline sociology. Okay, the first two are studied under industrial relations, but these two, labor management relations and employer employee relations, are synonymously used. Okay, so also with this we have gone through the characteristics of industrial relations. Okay, so let's revise that characteristic and then we will be going through the objectives of industrial relations. Okay, the silent features of industrial relations are basically, okay, the first thing is the parties which are involved into industrial relations activities. Okay, see, basically two parties, that is workers and management, are involved in the process of establishing relations. However, the government agencies regulate, maintain industrial relations. Then the second one is, it is quite an interactive process. Okay, industrial relations arise out interactions between different persons or parties. They are supervisors, workers, trade unions, employees associations. Okay, so interactive process take place between whom? Yes, supervisors and industrial workers, supervisors and group team members, management and trade union leaders, employees, federations, and workers unions. Okay, now whenever we consider industrial relation, okay, industrial relation is two-way communication. Okay, industrial relation is a two-way communication process. One party gives stimuli, that is the information is provided by one person, other party responds to the stimuli. Okay, means that stimuli, that data which is given by one person is received by other person, and reaction or response is given by that other party. Okay, so the transaction occurring through such mechanism is either complementary or cross. More the complementary transaction, better will be the industrial relations situations. Next are the HRM practices. Effective human resource planning system, identification and stimulating prospective employees, designing the most suitable selection technique to choose the right kind of people, help to the organization to get a committed and willing workforce that want to grow, develop, and achieve such employees in the process, like to develop better relations with their bosses. So HRM practices influence industrial relations pattern in the industry. Approaches to the industrial relations, various approaches thus contribute to shape industrial relations pattern in industrial organization. These approaches include sociological, psychological, socio-ethical, human relations, etc. Relations is a two-way communication process. One party gives stimuli and other party responds to the stimuli. Okay, effective human resource planning system emphasis on identification and stimulating prospective employees, designing the most suitable selection technique to choose the right kind of people, help to an organization to get a committed and willing workforce that want to grow, develop, and achieve. Such employees in the process like to develop better relations with their bosses. So HRM practices influence industrial relations pattern in the industry. Okay, various approaches have contributed to shape industrial relations pattern in industrial organization. These approaches include sociological, psychological, socio-ethical, human relations, Ghanaian system approach, etc. Okay, the state plays a very important and vital role to influence industrial relation situations through its activities as facilitator, guide, counselor for both the parties in the industry. Role of trade union. Behavioral manifestations of workers are mostly governed by the trade unions to which they belong. Hence, trade unions' perception attitudes towards management influence workers to form their mind set that regulates, promotes interactions with the management. Then, it does includes the climate or situation into industrial relations is greatly influenced by the issues which are economic, social, socio-economic, cultural in nature. Okay. Now, whenever we consider industrial relations, okay, why it is important to have industrial relations? See, uh, industrial relations, the laborers today are more educated and they are aware about their responsibilities and rights. Okay, management has to deal with them not merely as factors of production but as individuals having human dignity and self respect. The objective is to change the traditional views of management and labor towards each other and develop mutual understanding and cooperation and work towards achievement of common goals. Good industrial relations lead to industrial peace and increase the production activity. Joint consultation between employees and management always increases the way for industrial demography and democracy, and they contribute to the growth of organization. Conductive industrial relations motivate their workers to give increased output. Problems are solved through mutual discussions, workers' participation, suggestion schemes, joint meeting, etc. Good industrial relations increase labor efficiency and productivity. With increased productivity, the management is in a position to offer financial and non financial incentives to workers. Every organization strives to induce good industrial relations to ensure industrial peace and avoid labor unrest like strikes, ghettos, demonstrations, slogan shouting, work stoppages, etc. Healthy work relations must exist for the development and promotion of harmonious labor management relations, which has become very important in the modern industrial society. So, whenever we consider the industrial relations, good industrial relations depends upon large number of factors and conditions. Actually, every industry moves ahead with its good or bad history of industrial relations. Harmonious relationship between the workers and management marks the good history of the enterprise, while strikes and lockouts characterize the bad history of the business. History, good or bad, established ones will take time to change. Okay, once military or militancy, that is strikes, lockout, etc., is established as a conduct of operations, there is a tendency to continue. If harmonious relations are established, it will perpetuate. This, however, does not mean that militancy situations cannot be converted into a harmonious relationship of, or vice versa. Rather, what it means is that probability of peaceful relations is greater where mutual understanding exists, and the probability of conflict is greater when industrial conflict has been accepted as a normal conduct of business. Strong trade unions help to promote the status of labor without the interest of management. Trade unions maintain good relations with the management, and they do avoid militancy and strike situations. Okay, enlightened trade unions induce the workers to produce more and persuade the management to pay more. Okay, they mobilize public opinion on vital labor issues and help the government in enacting progressive labor laws. Okay, they develop right kind of leadership, avoid multiplicity of unionship and union rivalry. Hence, a strong, responsible, and enlightened trade union promote healthy industrial relations. Okay, negotiating skills of management and workers. Okay, it does includes well experienced and skillful negotiations. Okay, then there are certain economic factors which are responsible for industrial relations. There are certain social factors like social values, social groups, social status, also they do influence the industrial relations. The employee meant a relationship is not just an economic contract, it is a joint venture involving a climate of human and social relationship wherein each party fulfills his needs and contributes to the need of others. The supportive climate is essentially built around social factors. The influence of social factors get changed with the progress of industrialization. Okay, the psychological factors such as motivation, etc., are having significant determinants of industrial relations. The relationship between workers and management would be more stable and sure if the needs and expectations of the workers are integrated with the goals of enterprise. Workers should understand that their interests get furthered when organization goals are achieved. Public policy and legislation. The regulation of employer employee relations by the government is another important factor for the smooth industrial relations. Government intervenes the relationship by enacting and enforcing labor laws. Okay, laws related to the saving or saving the relationship between employer and employee. Okay, so whenever we do consider the relationship between the employer and employee, that is which comprises of the industrial relations, there are certain objectives. Okay, so the objectives of industrial relations, they are the objectives of industrial relations are to facilitate increase production and productivity. See, if the employer and employer relation, it is good, that is there is soundness into the organization, what will happen? See, the production process, is it, the production process will go uninterrupted. Okay, and what about the productivity? Okay, the productivity, it will be good, right? Okay, means the workers, okay, or the employees, whenever they will be thinking about the organization, okay, they will feel that, okay, if the organization, that is, and the employers, if they make or avail the facilities and amenities which are needed by that workers, okay, surely the worker will be getting the job satisfaction. Okay, whenever the worker is satisfied, okay, whenever the worker is satisfied, um, related to the work environment of that organization, surely, okay, what will happen is the employee will be giving his 100% towards the work. Okay, whenever he utilizes his 100% potential towards the work, okay, surely the productivity of the organization will always be increasing ones. Okay, then whenever the industrial relations, that is the relation between the employer and employee, it is good, then surely it will facilitate increase production and productivity. Okay, then to safeguard the rights and interest of both labor and management by enlisting their cooperation. See, the labor and management, usually if the labor is satisfied through the management, and if the management is satisfied from the labor, okay, the relationship will be good. Okay, means the labor, if the labor is given the basic rights or the fundamental rights related to his work, for example, okay, if you're finalizing some of the decisions related to the labor, okay, for example, if you are finalizing compensation or the working hours which is related to the laborers, okay, and if without consulting the labor or their union, okay, without considering the labor or the union, if you finalize some of the decisions, if you finalize some of the decisions, okay, how the laborers will be feeling? The laborers will feel dissatisfied. Okay, the laborers will feel dissatisfied. Due to this, what will happen? Yes, if they are dissatisfied, then what will happen? Yes, surely the labor will react in such a way that it will result into strikes and lockdowns. Okay, now management does also have certain rights. Okay, if the laborers, they are not working properly or they are misutilizing the rights which the management has offered to them, what will happen? Surely the management will not be satisfied by the working of the labor. Okay, due to this, what will happen? Okay, if even though the management is providing the required facilities and amenities to the labor, and the laborers, they are entering into strikes, what will happen? Surely the management will enter into lockouts or lockdowns, is it? Okay, so to safeguard the rights and interests of both, that is the laborer and the management, okay, and to have cooperation within these two people, okay, these two factors itself is the objective of industrial relations. Okay, to avoid unhealthy atmosphere in the industry, especially work stoppages, go slows, gheeraus, strikes, lockouts. Okay, see, if the relation between the employer and employee, that is the industrial relation, if it is unsound, if it is unsound, then what will happen? The atmosphere within your industry, the atmosphere within your industry, it will go unhealthy. Okay, so to avoid unhealthy atmosphere in the industry, especially, okay, what is the unhealthy atmosphere? See, some of the time the workers may enter into strikes, they may have work stoppages, go slows, gheeraus, lockouts, etc. Due to this, what will happen? There will be unhealthy atmosphere in the industry. Okay, then to establish and maintain industrial democracy. Okay, to establish and maintain industrial democracy means oneness, or there should be unity into the laborers as well as the employers. Okay, so to maintain and establish industrial democracy is also one of the objective of industrial relations. Then to achieve a sound, harmonious and mutually beneficial labor management relations, it is also another objective of industrial relations. Okay, means what is done into it. Okay, see, if there is harmony, soundness and cooperation, okay, and if the employer as well as employee, whenever they are finalizing some of the decisions into their organization, okay, whenever they are finalizing some of the decisions into their organization, if mutually they agree upon some of the decisions, okay, if they are finalizing some of the decisions related to the organizations, and both the parties, that is the employer as well as employees, okay, cooperatively, if they finalize mutually, if they do finalize some of the decisions, what will happen? Okay, yes, there will be soundness, there will be harmony, and the relations will surely be benefiting the organization. So this is also one of the objective of industrial relations. Okay, then to correct an imbalanced, disordered and maladjusted social and economic order with a view to reshape the complex socio-economic relationship following technological and economic progress. Okay, means if you think that the socio-economic relationship, okay, socio-economic relationship should also be balanced one, there should not be any imbalance, disorder or any adjustment into social and economic order. Okay, then surely the industrial relations, that is the relationship between employer employee and the management, okay, employer employee and the government, it should be harmonious one, sound ones. Okay, then to control and discipline and parties concerned and adjust their conflicting interest. Okay, means if the two parties related to the industrial relations, that is the employer and employee, if they do have any misunderstanding, if due to some of the reasons, if they enter into conflicting phase, okay, if they enter into conflicting phase, what will happen? Okay, it will surely disturb the schedule of your organization. Okay, see, on one part, the production will be suffered, okay, the productivity will be hurted. Okay, in turn the organization's goals will be affected. Okay, so if you think that, okay, the parties concerned towards the industrial relations, they should not be having conflicting interest means what? Okay, if they mutually agree upon the same interest, if they mutually agree upon same interest, then what will happen? Yes, the organization's production activity as well as the organization's goals, it will be achieved within the given time period or time limit. Okay, then improvement in the economic conditions of workers in the existing state of industrial management and political government, this is also one of the objective of industrial relations. In this, what happens, see, the economic conditions of the workers, that is the standard of living and other things, okay, related to compensation, remuneration, which are needed to the laborers, or see, why the laborers or employees, they do work with you. Okay, they do have certain individual goals, right? Okay, if their individual goals or the purpose why they are working with you, if it is not fetched, if it is not achieved, then what will happen? Yes, there will be conflicting interest, or they will not be satisfied whenever they are working with you. is it? So if you think that they should be satisfied when they are working with you, surely you should, okay, as an employer, as a management, okay, you should be trying to save their interest, okay, to uplift their economic conditions, okay. So industrial relation, it does result into the same. Then to regulate production and promoting harmonious industrial relations, okay, means both the production as well as the harmonious industrial relations. How to maintain this? This is also an objective of industrial relations, both the employer as well as the employee, okay. If they are satisfied on their part, if their goals they are achieved, okay, surely they will be satisfied by the relationship between them, okay, which will in turn be benefiting the organization as a whole. Then socialization or rationalization of industries by making the state itself a major employer, and assigning of proprietary interest of the workers in the industries in which they are employed, okay. These are also the objectives of industrial relations, okay. So with this we do conclude today's lecture. Thank you.